Hello and welcome to the Word for All Occasions tutorial video. And what I'd like to do is just take you on a very quick tour of some of the features that you're going to find in this CD, which are different from anything else that we've used before. There's what I would call a light graphic touch to it, which will enable you to actually have some control over the placement, copying and pasting of images. And you're going to find that movie here under the tutorial video, which if you've clicked on, you're already listening to me. If you've had trouble doing that, then you'll have had to go and use the internet video, which will be a YouTube one for you, which should have worked on your computer. In either case, I would strongly advise that you do watch the tutorial. It's not very long, but it will make a lot of sense with the CD. So without further ado, what I'm going to do now is just show you how we can get the best out of the features, the new features that you're going to find on this CD-ROM. So I'm going to go to the main folder, and everything is pretty much normal in appearance here. And if you've seen the walkthrough tours, you know everything that's on the CDs. So I'm not going to go through that at this stage. This is, as I said, a tutorial to show you how the new features work. And what I've got is actually images. They're PNGs. They have a transparent background, and they can be copy and pasted outside of this document into ones of your own. Now, those elements, and if I just click onto Floral Papers here, if I just run through and I'll show you which ones are the ones which you can use. And in this instance, we've got our floral backing papers. That's just standard backing papers for you to copy and paste, matte and layer with, as indeed with the light ones. But if we go to the backing paper swatches here, we're going to open up a new window. So I'm going to click onto that. My computer's asking me for permission to do this. You want to say allow because we're trusting it. This is a security issue that comes now. I'm using Adobe Reader 11. This will look similar in 10 and 9, and indeed 8 you can use these features as well. Anyway, I've clicked to go yes, and I've now opened up another window which I can just move around the desktop, and there's a good reason for this because it will enable you to work, I think, a little bit more efficiently. Remember, this isn't a full-blown graphics package, so we've got a few compromises along the way. So let's say, for example, I want to use one of my papers here, and I've got one of the darker ones. I'm going to click onto that, and again click onto the paper here, and we will see now that a blue line comes around it. Now I can in fact actually move this around the page if I want to, but we don't need to do that. I'm just going to pop it there, highlight it, so I've used the left hand mouse button to click onto it, and I'm going to use my keyboard and go Control C for copying. So that's Control C or Apple C for the Apple Mac. Now I can paste this into another document if I want to. So I'm going to come back to my main document here and come back and talk to you a little bit about what I call the graphics layout. And if I again click onto this, it will open up on the page here, and it may or may not again ask you for permission whether you're allowed to open it or not. Now on this particular one, again if I click on, if we go, you'll see here that we've got our main page and I've got some text on here, and if I click onto that, that highlights the text and that allows you to now paste. It's saying you're allowed to paste extra elements in here. If a page hasn't got anything on it, there's a little box up here which does the same thing. But I always find it's good just to click onto an element like this, and now we go Control V, and I've managed to paste in my backing paper. Now this works in layers. So what I'm going to do is move my text over here for the moment, and that's just there if you want it. Pop this one up here to the corner there. Now these little dialog boxes will pop up occasionally. Just click onto that and it will disappear. Well, what we're doing is just being a little bit clever with Adobe. I'm dragging that down, and you can see now I've got my base paper here. Now you can enlarge and reduce this, but only in proportion. That means I can't squeeze it in and make it any thinner, but I've designed this to work on an A4 card, landscape or portrait, and you can see that it just goes over the halfway line because the blue grid we've got here is for an A5 card, and this enables you to give you a guide. So I've gone for a full A4. I can ignore that blue line because it's not going to print. That would have been an A4 or an A5 square card. Now I've got my heading which I can put in, but if I move this over now, because it's on another layer, the first layer, you can see it's going to disappear. So a little trick here, if you want to layer things and you've done them wrong, just highlight it, and I'm going to go Apple X or Control X on your PC. Click an object, put a blue line on to allow us to paste, and then go Control V or Apple V, and that brings this as the next layer. So all I've done is just shifted the layers through. And now with this heading, I can change the text. Now you'll see that with the text, you can enlarge and reduce the box if you want to allow more text, which is great. And we can copy and paste this box as well. I could go Control C and put another box if I wanted a subheading down here. We'll come back to that in a moment. Now the next thing that we can see is that we can move the text around, but we can also change the size and the style. And what you have to do, and I found this a wee bit tricky, but you have to just double click over the text, and you can see now it highlights, and Control E or Apple E on our PC, and up comes our dialog box here. Now I can change the size and the font. Not all of the fonts that are on your computer may be available to you. I'm going to click onto one here, and it's Adobe Caslon Pro, and let's do something which is a little bit different here, Algerian. So some it will allow you to put in and some you won't. It depends on the fonts, but most of them you can use. And now you can change the color. If I just come up over here onto the box, we can click on and we can change the color of our text, and we can also change the size of it. We can go up and down, and obviously importantly, if we put that on there, we can type as well. I'm covering that up at the moment, so let me just show you. It would help to spell it right. I've got the microphone in the way for me. There we go, happy birthday. And again, that's a little bit small, so I'm going to come back and change that up to say 48. Just go back here for a second, and I'm just going to close down this page. Do you want to save the changes to the swatch? Nope. And just show you some of the other elements that we've got. Again, it's asking me if I'm going to allow. I'm going yes. And you can see that we've got a whole range of different elements, which again, if we highlight, we can copy and paste into a document. Go Control C there, and if I return, I can go back to my main document here, come back here, and if I just hit return on there, we've also got single pages, because you can save this. If you wanted to just do one document, if I go onto A4 landscape there, again, this is just a single page, and anything that you do on here, you can now actually copy and save as well. So I want to paste, I've gone Control V, nothing's happened because I need to highlight something. There we go, as long as one element's highlighted, you're fine. So now I can just put the word happy in here, and I can change the size by just dragging on to the little handles here. So that enables me to move it and resize it. I don't need my heading here, so I can just highlight that and then hit the backspace or the delete key, and I can actually just take that out there. Now if I move this up, I can place it around, and you'll notice as well, not only can we change the size of it, but I can change the rotation, not of the text, but of these objects here. And just by turning on that handle, I can turn it as well. And just move it around wherever I want it. And another little neat cool trick I found that you can do is if you right hand click, now I double clicked onto it, I've got that box, click to get rid of that. It's a dialog box. What we can do is go down to properties, and a properties box comes up. We can actually use a slider control here and actually make it a little bit more pale if we want to. I'm going to hit cancel on that at the moment. One thing I have found that once you've made something pale, you can no longer control where it goes. So you need to make sure it's in the right position. Sometimes Adobe doesn't like you to come back and make any changes unless it's at full strength at 100%. So there we go, we can move that around. And again, if we wanted to bring our papers back in, we could overlay. Now that would be on a lower level, so I'd have to delete it and just copy and paste it. So those are some of the features that we can do, and I've digressed a little bit. So if you want to keep some of these pages open, I find it quite useful just to close them on the little tab here, as you can see on the top line there, and that closes them down. And in this instance on my software, they're all underneath here if I come up. So if I want to then copy and paste, I can just go back to that one and do it. Now let me just show you, because I've diverged a little bit, but I'm telling you what we need to know here. So the happy birthdays, if we click on, we've got happy birthday, sorry, thank you, get well soon, congratulations, and good luck. Again, they open up in the window. I'm just going to close that down. We've also got our gift pledges, so I'm going to click allow because I want to open that up, and that will open up my gift pledges here. Now again, you can just copy and paste into these or just work on them straight off of the page. But I've also got some spare text, which again you can click onto. You'll get this blue box, and if you wanted to, you could use that anywhere in the document. These are scattered around. They just allow you to create your own documents as well. But if I come back to the certificate here, we can see now I've got I promise, and you can type your promise here. Now this box is comprised of two things: standard good old-fashioned text box in there, which if you go Control E you'll be able to bring up and change the type. But if you wanted to have just one of these boxes or bring it into the card, or even, which I think is quite nice, pop it on the back of a card, we could copy and paste it there. So if I just highlight this again, Control C or Apple C. Now if I come back here, my happy birthday is still open. That's highlighted. So what I want to do now is go Control V and paste my certificate, and that could be on the back of my card here. So after they've got the card, they could have the pledge on the back. Now you'll notice it's coming without text as well. Let me just move that up a little bit, make sure that's in the recording window for you there. That can have text put on it, and what we'll need to do is, I'm just going to use that key there and hit return and copy and paste this. So Control C. I'm coming down to my pasteboard below, and I'm going to go to the page I've opened, bring that up, and Control V. And now my type comes in, and I can alter the size of that and make it fit wherever I want to. And again, once that box is highlighted, if you double click onto the text, you'll see it turns into a beam, and we can change the text then. Control E, Apple E for the Macs. Up comes the box there, and I can change the size if I want to. Go to 28 point there and type in my promise or pledge where I want to there. Okay, so that's one of the features again that we've got here. We can build up. It's in layers. So if you have a layer, if I bring in the birthday one, you'll see that's going to disappear underneath. If I wanted to bring that on top, the best thing I could do is go Control X and then Control V. Apple V if you're using the Mac. Now nothing's happened because I've got nothing highlighted, so highlight something here, then go Control V. That lets you know that it's a page that accepts graphics, and if I wanted to, again, I could just pop that down in size and move it around. So I think hopefully you can see the potential of this. It's very, very basic graphics, but it's exciting because it enables you to build up and do things with it. Again, I can change the angle of that, just straighten it up a bit if I want to. Now what is nice about this as well, if I can just pull this into view here, we can save it. So if you do something, you can go to File, Save As, and you can actually give it a name and save it onto your desktop somewhere. So if you do any work, you can keep it and use it again and again. For the moment now, I'm just going to close this box down, save the changes, no. And again, I'm just going to close the box that we've got there and come back to the main CD. I'm opening up another box. It's asking for permissions. I'm going to click OK, and it's just basically saying that I can now, again, use these individual elements. I can either move these around, and I can copy and paste this element if I want to as well. So I could copy this and put my text on. You'll need to do that if you go into another page. And if I click return, and again on here, you get a tight box, which again you'll be able to move around and to take one of these and copy and paste them wherever you want them to go as well onto different pages. Again, I'm just going to delete that box down, or if I just come here, if you want to keep it and then just keep switching backwards and forwards to different views, remember, click onto the tab there, and that will just go down into your base, and you can just pick up on your folders down here if you need to. So we've done the grid, we've done that. We've also got Floral Toppers. And again, you can highlight these and drag them around, copy and paste them wherever you want to, Control C. Again, if I want to, just come down, drop that page down, or save changes, no. And we've also got our verses here, because we can use these. If we click onto our verses, I'm going to click allow, and I've got a whole range of verses for you to use in your cards. Let's just go to, say, Happy Birthday General, click on, and we can just copy and paste them as we normally would. If you like one there, just go over it, highlight it, and again, Control C, Apple C, for the Apple Mac, Control C for the PC, and I will just pop that down there, and I could copy and paste that if I wanted to into, say, one of my word inserts, which we haven't had a look at yet. Or I could use that on the insert that I've made using the graphics package. We do have inserts here. I've got lots of lovely pre-prepared ones for you, and again, I'll just pick one at random here. It's pink. Click onto the text box, Control V, and if I want to put some space in, I'm just hitting the return key. And of course it's text editable, so I could type in, if I want to, here, Happy Birthday. And of course if I highlight it, Control E, I can bring up my dialog box, and I can change the properties. So I could change that to 18 point, and I could change the color if I wanted to. I could even have a custom color. It says other color here. You can pick and choose, make your own colors. It's up to you. If I take the highlight off, you can see my lovely lime green heading there. Again, that's just standard fare for us with the greetings, but that's how they work. And I'll just hit return, return. And you can see these are all the word papers which come on the CD as well. And there we go. That gives you a basic overview of everything that you're going to find. So really it's about copying and pasting, but it has to happen within the document here. So just to recap, let's go to the Flower Toppers here. And it's going to, I've already opened that page, so it's going to click up here, or I could go down, click onto it, and bring it to the front. I'm going to just pick on my roses there. I'm going to go Control C, or Apple C, and I'm just going to again just show you here. Going to click that page down, go to the graphic layout, and let's just say we're going to have a portrait. Click to allow for permissions, and my portrait page is going to come up now. And you'll see here this is looking a little bit big, so I'm just going to reduce that down so I can see it. Now I need to have something highlighted, and just to say, if you've got nothing on the page, there is a little highlighter box up on the top corner, and if you click onto that, it's invisible. It will allow you to click. So if you've deleted the type before and there's nothing showing, on all of these graphic pages, if I can just bring this down and just show you, if you click up here, it's a hidden button. If that's clicked, you can now go Control V and then drop in any image that you want. Okay, now if you don't want something, again, if it's highlighted, you can just hit the backspace or the delete key in this instance, and that deletes it. So summing up, we've got a very basic graphics package here. It can be a little bit temperamental because we're kind of pushing it to its limit. So save your work regularly. Occasionally it gets unhappy if you have too many windows open. It can have a few hiccups and complain a little bit. But by and large, if you take your time, as I said, you'll be able to copy and paste and create your own individual elements if you want to. Now, you don't have to create the whole card. You may want to just create a basic topper to cut out. So you may say, for example, come here, come to our swatches. We're going to allow that to come through. I'm on my swatches paper here. Just pick one out. Again, Control C. And I'll come back. It's asking me if I want to create a document, which I don't. I'm just going to close this page down. I'm back into my main file, coming back here. It's asking me if I've got to allow permissions. Okay, so I'm going to go to A4 landscape, allow, and remember I've got to have something highlighted. So if I'm going to highlight the text there, Control V. Now what I'd like to do is just click onto there, hit delete, click back onto my paper here, click off that little commenting box which we don't need, that should disappear, and drag a piece of paper across there, and I'm going to go back to here, and this box is already open, and just go for a lighter colour of something. Let's just pick at random here, one there, Control C. I'm just going to close that box down. It just makes it less temperamental if you've got less windows. Something's highlighted here, so I can go Control V and paste this over. So what I could be is just making a little graphic that I want to cut out and then matte and layer onto the page rather than creating a whole graphic card. But you could do that if you wanted to. And so now what would be useful, if again I'm just going to pop that into the background, hit my return key, come to my flowers, and just pick one out. We've used the rose, so I'm just going to click onto that, Control C, Apple C, and then open up my graphics here. The blue border's already on there, so again Control V, Apple V for the Apple Macs, and just shoot that down a little bit in size and just pop it in the middle there, a little bit smaller, wouldn't go amiss. And then I've got that as a topper if I want to use that on my card, and I can print that out. The blue lines here won't print, and I could even save it, File, Save As, and save that and come back to it, or put a number of elements on this paper to make better use of it. So it'll just give me a little bit more use with my printing, a little bit more economical. I'm going to close these pages down. So we're back to our main page here, and just click out the highlights form there, and just really, just to recap, as I said, we've got a very basic graphics package in here. Take your time with it, don't click too quickly. It can be a wee bit temperamental if you try and ask too much of it too quickly, and it really depends on your computer as well. But you can see now, I hope, how simple it is to use, and it's just a case of matte and layering digitally, and all the elements have got transparent backgrounds so you can overlay them. If you forget to do something, you can delete it and then copy it again, or Control V or Control X. That kind of cuts it out, and then you can paste it again. So those are some of the instructions which I think you'll find useful. So it's for the PC, just to recap, we're going to go Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and Control X if we want to cut it, and then Control V to paste it again. And that's the same but for the Apple key for the Apple Mac people. And it's just a case of just simple copying and pasting onto a page. Now you don't have to use those features if you don't want to. You can just print out a page as a normal page if you want to as well. So that's perfectly acceptable. Like with the flowers, if you want to, you could just click onto it and even just reduce them down. I've made them a little bit bigger, but you can just reduce them down so they don't touch. And again, I'm just going to close that one down. So there we go. That, I hope, gives you an overview of the basic graphics that you can use on the CD, and I hope it just gives you a little bit of confidence to have a go yourself and have a little play. You can't go too far wrong. And and just have some fun with it. And of course, you can use the CD in a traditional way, printing out the papers, the backing papers, and the different elements, and cutting and pasting as well. It's really up to you. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it sort of sets you on the path to some basic graphics as well. Okie dokie, take care and enjoy your crafting.